And you can only have one dessert, Mike.
What? I can have as many as I want. I'm an adult. If I want ice cream for breakfast, I'm having ice cream for breakfast.
That was the time that you felt like you were dying on a job site, isn't that right?
Oh yeah, that's when I thought I was having a heart attack, and I was laying down in the master bedroom, and people were climbing over me, asking if I was okay, and I said, yeah, I think so, and I thought I was dying.
Hello, welcome back to Uniqueness Built In. I'm Cassidy with Garabedian Properties. Today, we are going to be talking about why change orders cost so much and why you can't just change in the middle of construction. So today I have Mike Garabedian on, and I'm going to be asking him a couple questions about this.
Only a couple?
Yeah, I only have two prepared, so okay. It might be a light show.
We'll be out
quick. All right, Mike, what is a change order?
A change order is when you do a contract. Okay, sit back. It'll take a while. No, when you do a contract, you have specifications on your contract, and you have plans that say so many appliances, so many, what have you. A change order is when you say, oh, I want to move that, or I want to change that, or I want to add something. It could be add a switch, it could be add a cabinet, it could be move a cabinet, it could be move a door, it could be add a chimney, whatever. A change order is a change in the specifications of the project as you're progressing through the project.
Why do change orders cost so much?
If I only had a metaphor. Okay, so say you have an event and you go out and say get Cokes. We get Cokes for everybody. So we got our Cokes here. And then you get out to the event and say, no, I want Diet Coke. Okay, so you have to send somebody out to go get the Diet Coke. Great props. The Coke and the Diet Coke cost about the same amount of money at the store. But to swap out the drinks, you have to pack up all the Cokes, return them or put them somewhere else. You have to send somebody to go get the Diet Coke. You have to have them bring it back out, make sure it's cold, and disperse it to the folks. So that takes time, money, and logistics. Now granted, it's not a whole lot of money to send somebody to make a Diet Coke run to the store. Do we get product placement for this? But it does take time and resources that person could be doing other things with. A change order is the same way. If all of a sudden the train's going down the track and we're doing X, Y, Z, and all of a sudden, hey, let's stop and go over here and do something else. There's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes that you never see that involve logistics, rescheduling, ordering materials, thinking through the processes that takes time and money, and those have to be accounted for. So you're going to have change orders. The sooner we know what those change orders are, usually the less expensive and less obtrusive it'll be in your schedule.
When someone hears the word change order, I mean, they know that it's something that's changing with the house. What other perceptions do owners have of what change orders are? Well,
there's a couple of different change orders. One is a change order because you want to change something, and one is called a change order of necessity. A change order of necessity is something that has to be done to accommodate the project that was unforeseeable or not expected, or just not reasonably expected. For instance, before we started taping here, I just got a call about a project that we found a large pile of buried trash on. We didn't expect that. It was always possible, we didn't expect that, so now we're going to have to bring in the excavator and big trucks and dig out this pile of trash and haul it off. That's going to be a change order of that project. It's going to cost some time and money to do that. But it has to be done because the project can't proceed without it. So that's a change order of necessity. Another change order of necessity would be we do a soils test on a property and we find out that we have to change the foundation, the design of the foundation, because there's certain things going on in the dirt that be accounted for. You have to have a foundation, you have to engineer it, so you have to do the change order to accommodate that. A change order by request is, I want to go from marble to quartzite in a countertop, or I want to add a row of cabinets in my study, or I want to change all my flooring from carpet to wood. I mean, those are change orders by request, and both of them have cost related to them. So
what is a change order actually accounting for then?
So your change order, there's a couple of different things depending about when in the process you do it. One is the cost of the new element. Sometimes there's a credit that you can get back from the old element, and I say, like, you're returning a faucet, you're getting a more expensive faucet. There's some bookkeeping and some administrative items on the back end side you never see. About, you have to have somebody call, order the new product, make sure it's the correct product, make correct finishes, have it shipped, receive it, get it to the job site, and then you also have to account for taking the old fixture, wrapping it up and returning it, or doing something with the old product. There's bookkeeping issues on keeping the accounting of it straight. And then there's the mechanics of having to have the plumber come back to switch it out and put in a new faucet. So he has to make an extra trip to do that. And plus somebody has to be there to oversee all that. These are all things that are being done that would not have to been done otherwise because we changed our mind. And it's okay. It's okay to change your mind. It's okay to have change orders. Just be aware that there are costs involved in doing so that you may not be aware of.
Do owners typically have something in mind as far as if they have a change order on their home, are they typically anticipating that it's going to be the same cost as whatever element that they wanted originally?
Yeah, well, going back to the Coke. So, there you go. Coca-Cola. Hey, all right. So Coke, they cost the same. But you still have to send somebody back to the store to get the new Coke or the Diet Coke and bring it back out there. You have to get the old Coke and put it away or remove it from the site. It could be the same. It could be beer. It could be chocolate, chocolate pomegranates, or whatever. It doesn't matter. If you have something there and you change your mind and say, I want to change something differently, you have to account for all the logistics that go in and changing it out. So yeah, a lot of folks will think, oh, it's the same cost. It shouldn't cost any more. You should just be able to do that. But you have to allocate time and resources that person would be doing other things on other projects or other parts of your project. Now it's to stop and handle this for you. And that's okay. As a custom luxury home builder, we will do that for you. That's our job. We just want to make sure that everybody understands that there's cost involved in doing those things. What
qualifies as a change order versus just a regular design decision?
A design decision would be, like we do cabinets. We have a cabinet design system. We have a cabinet design process where we'll go out and measure the cabinets. We'll draw up all the cabinets. We'll have the owner sign off on them, and that's a design decision. You have an allowance. You draw up your cabinets. We build the cabinets. You get a price for the cabinets. They're good. A change order would be after the cabinets are already in production or after they're installed. You say, come back. No, I want to change that to stain grade instead of paint grade, or I want to put some more drawers here instead of a door, or if I want to put it be 2 feet taller than what it is. There's all a host of issues that go into that, which we can accommodate. It just costs money. So if we had caught on the design part of it, the investment would be more modest than if it's a change order.
Why do change orders normally occur? Is it because of indecision, or is it because priorities change? What do you typically see a change order happen, or when do you see a change order typically happen?
It's all TV shows. No. So what part of it is, there are the TV shows, the magazines, there's all sorts of things that come out. And every night you turn on TV, or every night you get a magazine, you see all these new elements and features, or your friends are sharing stuff on Pinterest, or you're being inundated with ideas and design options that you can do, or, oh, we should have done this. It's constant. It was everything. And the food industry has it, the clothing industry has it, every industry has this. So what happens is you have your house, you design it, you get going, and all of a sudden, oh, crap, let's do this. And that prompts what can we do this? So it's not necessarily indecision, it's finding things that you want to do, and because houses take longer than a week to build, you feel like you have an opportunity to do that. You do, but you feel like it's easier to do than what it really is. So you add it into the process. Other issues with the change orders is sometimes you're guided to think about certain things in certain spaces, and you're not sure about it because you can't visualize it until the space is built out, and then you say, oh, we should have done that, or maybe we should not have done that. A change order can also be removing something from the house.
What instances would you see something being removed from a home?
We've done wallpaper's an easy one, but we've done wood details on walls where we thought we had a really cool element, and we put it up there, and once the owner saw it in real life, they said, no, it doesn't work for me, we've taken it off. Sometimes we put flooring down. People don't like flooring. I remember one of the first houses I ever built when I worked for the gentleman that taught me the business. We painted the whole house a certain color, and they walked in and they said, oh God, it's too yellow, and we had to repaint the whole house, even though they picked the color.
So sometimes owners will have aspirations, or maybe a visual, a picture of something that they really enjoy, and but then in application, it's not actually what they want.
Yeah, it's got. If you going back to the steakhouse, You order a porterhouse, and you normally eat fillets, and you order a porterhouse, and it looks great. It's exactly what you ordered, cooked just the way you want it. You take a bite of it and say, no, I don't like that. It's not that the steak's wrong. It's just you don't like that. You want to do something different, so you send it back and you order a fillet. And most times, sometimes they'll pay for it, sometimes they won't. But usually, there's a cost involved in doing that.
So, are there any small things that can trigger a formal change order process? We talk about big ones like the floors, and I feel like painting a whole house is a pretty large scale decision. But are there smaller ones?
Shower niches. So if you don't have any shower niches in a tub or shower, and you come back in with maybe after it's sheetrock, so I want a niche there. We have to cut into the wall. Usually we have to reframe the space. Sometimes we have to move vent stacks and electrical, and then put that niche in there. And there's some other things. We usually have to open up a bigger part of the wall than just that niche because of the framing details. And then we have to have the designer or the tile crew figure out the material for that niche, because usually it's a different niche material, and figure out what's involved in that to add that to the tile order. So those are all, it's not just cut a hole in the wall and throw one in. There's a lot to it. Or there can be a lot to it. And that's a real simple one. Oh, I want to have niches in all my showers. Okay, we can do that, but we really wanted to know that at framing.
I mean, this brings us to timing and when change orders should come up. This is a lengthy process. I mean, we don't get started on construction before the 3-month mark, primarily because of the architectural plans and going out and purchasing the lot, making sure that all of that is taken care of. So at what point do we most often see change orders arise?
At what point do we not see change orders? It's all the way through the process. I've had owners where the houses are all but finished, and have to tear out marble bathroom floors and redo the entire floor.
Wow.
We did I don't know if I ever told the story. We had the one house. This was a change order of necessity. We did a model home for the Kaleidoscope of Homes, a big home tour that we do out here years ago. So 25 to 26 years ago. And I walked into the space, and there was a big dome ceiling in the master bedroom. And I always looked at it from one certain aspect. I always walked in that space, and I always looked at the room this way from the doorway. It looked beautiful. Great room, great house. Well, one day I walked where the house almost finished. I went and walked over where the head of the bed was, and I looked back at the fireplace, and I looked up there, and I saw the dome was 1 foot off center. It wasn't centered up on the fireplace. So we're literally, a week, 2 weeks from having 30,000, 40,000 people walk through that house for a show. I had to have them tear out the ceiling and move the dome over and re-put it all back together again. I consider a change order necessity because I'm OCD. That was something that was unexpected. Arguably, it could have been caught, but you can't catch everything. And it ended up caught. And I was the client, so I had to pay for it.
That was the time that you felt like you were dying on a job site, isn't that right?
Oh yeah, that's when I thought I was having a heart attack, and I was laying down in the master bedroom, and people were climbing over me, asking if I was okay. And I said, yeah, I think so. And I thought I was dying. And my life did not flash before my eyes. I digress. Turned out to be into heartburn.
Oh, poor Cindy.
Yeah.
So, why do you think that change orders normally kind of pop up at the end of construction more than maybe at the beginning? Do you find that because the owners, they can't picture that in their head yet, and once they're living in the space, that's kind of when those things that were unanticipated show up for them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we have another thing we talk about, the last 10%. Usually when you walk into a space as an owner and you start and it's living and it's being finished out around you, start to see things that you like and things that you wonder about, and that's usually an opportunity to say, well, what can we do about this? And that's when change orders come into place. Or maybe you had an element installed in the space, a wood detail or something on a wall, and it just didn't work out the way you wanted to once it's painted. I mean, so yeah, and part of it is that you can't visualize. Many folks cannot visualize something until it's actually in front of them.
So how do you mitigate that?
You can't.
Is it through asking questions? How has your, I guess, procedure changed over time?
Well, okay, I say you can't. You can't completely mitigate it, but you can by offering feedback on projects that you've seen work before and not work before, or giving the odds of things that work and don't work, or doing mock-ups or samples, that helps too. But the reality of it is certain people can visualize to a certain extent, and until they see it, they can't see it. But I would say trust your builder. If a builder tells you you should be adding lights here because the architect didn't draw enough lights in, or taking away lights that doesn't make sense, or trust your builder. You hired him or her for a reason. You trust their input.
We did talk a little bit about when you should be having change orders, and that's really before framing, before construction begins. You want to catch those things early on, but of course that doesn't always happen. So when is the best time to make, when is it too late to just switch it versus, having the consequence of having to go through the change order?
Oh, I was just like, when it's too late to have a change order. It's never too late, because we will build a house, tear it down, and build it for you again. It's only a function of time and money. But many times builders will ask you questions about what you want to do in this space, or they'll preface certain decision-making points that you need to be aware of and say, this is the time we want to talk about X, Y, and Z. And usually most times you'll get closure on that, and you'll be able to talk about it and catch those things. Where we run into challenges is if we say, oh, you want to put niches in your tubs and showers at frame stage, yes, we can accommodate that very easily at that point. If you say, no, we don't want them, and then you come back later and add them, then that's a challenge. So your builder will usually walk you through at certain stages of the process of what we need to be thinking about at that stage to try to get ahead of these things. Sometimes your builder is going to ask you questions or make suggestions about things that you hadn't even thought about. There's a reason he or she's doing that. We're trying to catch stuff that we know is going to come up later.
Okay. And so how do you get an owner to be at peace with the decision that they make? If they call you and they ask you, if you call them and ask them about certain things because you've seen them before, how do you make sure that they are at peace with whatever decision they make?
That's hard. I mean, that's more of a, every owner's different. I mean, but I can tell you that every home I've ever built for my family, every project, every spec home I ever built for our company, and almost every project, there are things that I wish I would have done that I didn't do. And there's things that I did that I'm happy I did. And there's a few things I did I wish I didn't. You can't bat 1,000. And you have to be at peace that nobody's going to have a perfect house or have everything you ever want in a house. It's not going to happen, because no matter what it is, there's always something else. So you have to be at peace with that. We just want to focus on the important things. And then you have to, it's like, you can go to one of our favorite restaurants, is no free plugs, but they have a big dessert cart. They have all these desserts on them. I could eat every one of those desserts, but it's not. Well, actually, I probably could, but most people couldn't eat all those desserts. There are all these great desserts. You want them all. They taste great. They're wonderful. But the reality of it is you only be able to eat 1, 2, maybe 4 or 5 of them, and then you have to stop. It's just like with a home. You want to have all these elements in your home. You're not going to be able to get all of them. So just eat the ones that are most important. How
do lead times affect whether or not something becomes more expensive?
It takes a while to get product in. Old days, we did this back in the old days. We used to have warehouses full of. They stocked everything locally here, and you'd order it, you go pick it up, and you'd be good to go. Now, because there's so many different SKUs, so many different products, they just can't. Nobody can do that. No, the inventory cost, you can't do that. So most stuff is going to take you a week, 2 weeks, 4 weeks to get. They're not going to stock $2 million worth of light fixtures and grapevine for you just to pick up whenever of every SKU. So when you change your mind and you're near installation, we can order it and do the returns, all the paperwork and stuff on that. But we still may have to wait 2, 3, 4 weeks for the product to come in if it's not on back order. So it takes 2 to 3, 4 weeks just to get the product. If it's on back order or out of production, we have to wait 6, 8, 10 weeks. So you have to be aware of that.
And so that can stall construction.
It can stall you out. Or it may require you to do an intermediate accommodation to get through inspection or to get to the next step. So you're going to have cost involved, that intermediate issue to get you through until you can do the final installation.
What does that look like? Walk me through what an intermediate stage is.
Say you have a space where you need special lighting for a certain element or something. You're going to have to have light fixture there to use that space, but it's not the light fixture you want. So we have to buy a fixture or use a fixture to install. We have to pay electricians to install the fixture, and then when the new one comes in, we have to pay electricians to come back and swap it out. So there's maybe cost involved in it.
Wow.
Same with plumbing. Plumbing. If you have a fixture, you really want a certain fixture, they don't have it. You have to have a plumbing fixture there for final inspection. So we go out and buy a regular old fixture, stick it in there, just tide you over, and then we have to come back and swap it out. And that fixture we bought is sunk money. We can't do anything with it.
So let's talk about what change orders cost more. I mean, you talked about a little bit about the smaller things like having a niche in your shower and how something as small as that can equate to a bigger cost involved. What are the most expensive change orders that you see versus maybe some of the lighter ones?
Okay, so this is the other time I almost died of a heart attack. So in Colleyville, we had a great family we worked for, and we designed the house. He bought the lot. We were first lot in there. We were ready to go. We waited for the subdivision to be finished. We got out there. We graded the lot. Everything's going great. We set the forms on the lot. Once you set the forms on the lot, you have him come out there and look at it. So, walk through the house, all that stuff. And he came out. I remember he was standing right here, and I was standing right behind him. And he looked at the forms, and he looked at the lot. It was a big lot, and it was a house spread out. He said, "Nope, this is not going to work. The house is too big. The lot's too small." So, we're a small builder. You have a big project you've been working on for 6 to 8 months, and so and nope, we're not going to do it. And we have to flip the house, and I need to buy the lot next door. So he stopped the project. We pulled the forms, and we spent 6 months negotiating with the guy next door to buy his lot. And then we found there's a water line going right through the middle of his lot we had to move. So this all added 6 to 9 months to the house process. So most of that, and then he had to buy a lot, he had to move the water line, he had the cost of the form, but he got it done, and he was all happy. So he's happy, I'm happy. But that was probably the biggest one ever. That was multiple, that was a lot of money.
Wow. Okay, so what that means is go out to the lot, take a tape measure, and see how it's going to be pictured on the lot, so we don't run through this problem.
Well, going back to one of our earlier episodes in season 1, DVR if you haven't watched it, we talked about the importance of having your builder go out and look at the lot with you and visit him at the lot before you purchase the lot to make sure it accomplishes what you want to accomplish.
So in this case, did the owner already purchase the lot, and then you went out there and you started building, put the forms in and all of that, and he's
but when he saw the actual forms on the lot that he purchased on the house he designed, he had a change of heart on what he wanted to do. And fortunately, that family had the ability to attend to that without creating issues for them. But
sure. So I mean, really, anything that has to do with the foundation is going to be pretty costly if you have to change. That side of things.
Yeah, we design the house and you come out and say, no, I want to add on 4 feet here. I want to make a garage bigger or something after the foundation's poured, even before the foundation's poured, after it's designed. But say after the house is poured, if you come back and want to add 4 feet to the garage, we can do it, but it's going to be involved. Mm-hmm. So we want to try to think ahead about the things that are really important to it, so we can try to minimize those opportunities for issues.
Right, because they need to save their budget for the last 10%.
Yeah, we want to buy the cool stuff. We don't want to be buying more concrete.
Exactly.
Big TVs.
So, I guess you kind of answered this, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Why are structural, mechanical, and even sequencing changes especially so expensive?
Well, actually, let's go back to mechanical. That's a great segue. So if you say you have a 5,000 square foot house, and then you have this big old attic space, and say, hey, we should make this another room. Your HVAC mechanical is sized for a 5,000 square foot house. You just can't add, irrespective of all the cost involved and all the things of that, you can't just add 500 square feet to the house and stick another vent in there. You have to either upsize your ACs or redesign the system or buy another system. So on the mechanical, Adding windows. If you have a house, we have energy code issues, but take that aside. If you have a house, I'm going to add a whole wall of windows to this room. Now you change the heat and cold coefficients on the engineering of the house. We may have to change your HVAC system. And if we don't do that, then your system may not perform.
Does that also, in some cases, have you seen like generator requirements go up because of that, because of the extra square footage?
If you were to make the house bigger or to add more elements to the house, it is possible, and you have a generator that you want to have power for the entire house, it is possible that we may have to upsize the generator to accommodate that. Mm-hmm. So there's a domino effect. If you add a whole bunch of space to a house, another room to the house, maybe we have to add another service panel for electrical service. Maybe need another hot water heater.
And this is all to say that we can do it, but our owners need to be educated and informed about all of these.
We can do anything. Like I said, we can do a backflip. It's just
make your house do a
backflip. It costs a couple nickels, but we can do it. But we want to try to have those conversations up front and set expectations up front so we can minimize. So when we do have change orders, it's really for cool, fun stuff. It's not for stuff we forgot.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you said that it's kind of like a domino effect. Why do you see this, just a material change, ripple through multiple trades? Okay,
so all right, so we're at the end stage of the house. The owner, we're at the trim stages after paint, we're putting all the fixtures in, and the owner said, I want to add a whole bunch of lights. Which is fine, we can do it. Then the electrician has to allocate time to do that. So maybe the electrician can't do that because his schedule doesn't in it. So he has to pull off and go finish something else before he can come back. Well, he can't come back to finish, so if he can't come back to finish, maybe the appliances can't get installed. Appliances can't get installed. We can't have the hardware guy finish with the hardware on. And then, of course, you have the cleaning crew, the paint. That's the things. There's all sorts of the flooring. Maybe change the flooring in a room. Change the flooring in a room. We can't put the baseboards down. We can't have the painter finish. We can't put the hardware. It just goes on. So there's dozens of other people at any stage of the construction process. There's dozens of other people behind those people you see that have to do things. And if they can't do their things, they're going to go to other jobs somewhere else and go do things elsewhere to get paid. They got to make a day's wage. I always say it's like being in line at Costco. If you're in Costco, you have your cart ready, you pull up there and you're ready to check out. Great. But if you say, oh crud, I got to go get something else, you get out of line, you go back there and get your stuff. You got to go back to the line and wait your turn. Mm-hmm. So that 30-minute trip at Costco, if you can get out in 30 minutes, that 30-minute trip at Costco turns into an hour because you have to go back. And every time you get out of line and go back and get something else, it adds more time. And of course, your cart gets more expensive because you're adding more stuff to your cart.
Yeah, that's a great way to think about it.
So don't get out of line in Costco.
And don't promise that you can be out in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So why is reversing work, things that have already been installed, why is that more expensive?
Well, similar to renovations, but you pay the plumbers paid so much per fixture to put the fixtures in. You say, no, I don't like a fixture, I want another fixture. Okay, great. So the plumber has to come back, pull that fixture out, go get a new fixture and put that new fixture in. That's extra time. You have to pay him for that. And he fulfilled his responsibility of putting that fixture in. And some people say, well, the plumber's there anyhow, he should just do it. No, the plumber was there to do something for 15 minutes. He has to go to somebody else's house and do something else for them, but he can't because now he's doing stuff at your house, which is okay. We understand the program, but there's all these hidden costs involved in these things. And so the short answer is if you change something that's already been done or change something that's about to be done, there's cost involved to that you may not normally expect.
And sometimes those fixtures that he already installed that you no longer want can't be used in the rest of the house. And so that's just...
Can't return them.
You can't return them either. Okay.
Yeah. Once they're installed, you can't return. Sometimes if you open the box, you can't return. Depends on the fixture. So
what is the difference between a change order and just adding something on? We kind of discussed this in the design, but I think this is a little bit different. If someone wants to just add something on, would that wouldn't constitute necessarily as a change order?
Everything is, yeah, well, yes and no, but an enhancement is what we call when we add things to the process. You have but usually they're pre-planned and you plan ahead for it. You can deal with like an air switch on a disposal. Maybe you had a wall switch on your disposal. We don't do those anymore, but at one time you used to have wall switches. You turn the disposal on. You want an air switch. So enhancement, we go buy an air switch component, put it in there, drill a hole, and put it in. There's pretty painless. I mean, there's a few costs involved. So an enhancement is something, adding something to the process. A change order usually is changing something that's already been done or will be done or what's planned to be done and changing something else. Enhancements are considered change orders, but usually they're not as, usually everything you spend on it usually goes into the new feature. You're not burning money as much. You're not burning money undoing something.
Right, right. And there's maybe little installation involved.
The niche of the tub and shower, like that, for instance. If you're doing a niche of the tub and shower, you catch it at frame stage. That's an enhancement. So, but we're framing it out, a little bit of cost there, tile cost, what have you, versus a changing, which would mean after it's already sheetrock, we have to come in and tear out the wall and rebuild it.
I see. So how do you, as a builder, evaluate whether something is just a modification versus an addition or a change order?
Well, they're all changes. Everything's a change in our head, but the key for the builder is you have to account for all the cost involved in doing that, so you can give the owner as good a representation as possible of what the costs are and the time issues involved in doing that. For instance, I've had people. We have stuff right now where people have ordered fixtures or tile that's not going to be available for 4 to 6 months. So we have to go back to them and say, hey, we got to change that out. So you have to be thinking about all those type of things and issues ahead of time. Plus, you have to be doing the scheduling. Think about, okay, the tile guy needs to do this, but we're not going to be ready because the tile's not here. So we need to push him back, let him go do other jobs and come back when they're ready. Because we don't want to pay for trips. We don't pay for them to come out there and just sit there and do nothing and leave. Mm-hmm. That's no fun.
Right, of course. So what sort of preparation should owners be taking to make sure that they don't fall into too many change orders?
Foreshadowing.
Okay.
Lots of foreshadowing. And what I mean by that is we'll often, good experienced luxury builders will constantly ask you questions. And we're looking for triggers. We're looking for, oh yeah, I want to have a skylight in this room. Well, there's no skylight in the plans. Or I love skylights. We're looking for triggers that we can talk about, have that conversation as early in the process as possible versus waiting until the last minute. So your builder will often quiz you, and your designers will do this too. We'll quiz you, we'll look at pictures, we'll ask what ifs or why, we'll ask why a lot. We're looking for certain triggers that would be out of elements or expectations, and then we can address that at that time. And we're not going to catch them all. We're not perfect. We're dang close. We're not perfect. But when your builder's talking to you about what do you want to do or why you want to do something or what do you like, or what are your expectations? He's looking for things that he needs to be aware of that to talk to you about.
Understood. And so owners can prep themselves by having a pros and cons list about what they like in their home, what they don't like in their home, maybe some of the elements or features that they've seen that they really like, that they think they would like. Mm-hmm. Bringing all of that to their builder's attention is important.
Absolutely. And the other thing to keep in mind for really experienced builders, we kind of know our budget and bandwidth of our owners. So we're certainly going to present options to you, but the best builders are only going to present options that are within that budget or bandwidth. Looking for a really nice handbag, you may not be if you're right out of college, you're going to maybe go get a Michael Kors or something like that versus going into Chanel and spending $15,000, unless you got a lot of scholarships. Same thing with builders. If you want a really great appliance package, we may suggest you start with X versus starting with one that may cost twice that. So builders we try to keep our owners as close to their budget as possible. Now there are adults, they work hard. You work hard, it's your money, you're grown adults. If you want to go crazy and do something, God bless you. We want you to make an educated decision, but we're going to always tell you what we think you should do based upon what you told us your parameters are.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. How do you slow down some of the decisions that they have to make early on to make sure that you get what they want?
I can't give away all our tricks. There are techniques to help owners focus on things they need to focus on. But the short answer is if we think an owner's going somewhere that may need more thought, then what we'll do is on our next meeting, we'll make a point to come back to it. And there's many times I've brought up the same question 2 or 3 times over a month or 2 months period to make sure they understand what's going on and what the pros and cons of that decision are. Many times they say, yeah, we got it, we're good. My job is semi-fiduciary. We're not fiduciaries, but we're semi-fiduciary. Is we have to use our knowledge to give our owners guidance on what we think will work for what they're trying to accomplish. But they make the final decision.
And so for our owners just out there that are maybe shopping for a builder right now, and they want to make sure that this builder is, one, intentional with their budget, then things to look out for would be, is your builder asking you questions about how you live? Are they more inclined to give you something that's outside of the global budget that's...
One way, okay, this one thing we have seen happen, and sometimes it's the builder and sometimes it's the owners, we'll see a budget for a project be developed with unrealistic parameters within the budget. So what that means is they'll have a, say, $1 million house, and they'll have a $4,000 lighting allowance. Nah, it ain't gonna happen. But that by doing that $4,000 lighting allowance or doing whatever, these artificial numbers are doing really inexpensive, all these allowances that are not realistic for what it's gonna take to make the house happen, you get the price of the house down lower, and they immediately think that, oh cool, I got my budget, I'm gonna get everything I want, and then they get into it and they have change orders to add on at the end where they have to accommodate all these add-ons that they should have counted up front. So what we, on the other side, when you're talking with builders, they give you realistic allowances up front. So $1 million home would have a $15,000 lighting budget, whatever. Then you know you have enough money to do most of the things that you want to do, the lighting. You don't have to worry about a change order at the end to add more lighting or landscaping or what have you. So when you're talking to your builder, if you make it all about the price and the money, you're probably going to be, you're shopping on the lowest price for your home, you're probably going to end up with more surprises than you would if you just let the builder price it out based upon and spec it out based upon what he knows you want.
Mm-hmm. So that really, communication matters throughout this whole process. Then.
Communication and trust, yeah.
Yeah.
But there's no free lunch in this. There's no free lunch. It costs X to build a house. It costs X. Mm-hmm. The only way you're going to get less than X is you're going to have less elements in it, or you're going to do the elements not as well as they should have been done, mm-hmm. and then you have issues later.
Mm. And that can affect resale and other things, right?
Oh yeah, a lot of things.
How do you help owners decide when to move forward versus when to hold the line?
Well, we try to warn them both verbally and in narrative form if they're going to do X, that they need to be aware of that they may have to deal with certain other things later in the process. And then we always say that our default answer will be, most of our defaults are going to be, I probably said this before, is if it was my home, they would ask, what would you do? I say, well, if it's my home, bam. If it was my home, this is what I would do. Mm-hmm. Okay, and sometimes that's something they agree with, sometimes it's not, but that's my default. If it's our home, how would I do it on my personal home? And that's what we share with them. Now they make their decision.
So how can owners be intentional and not reactive? Is this compiling a lot of their designs, of their vision of the home? Is it more of listening to their builder's input? Is it a culmination of both?
Don't go to the job too much. The more you go to the job site, the more you'll think of things you can change. I mean, it's okay if you want to, but it's just like, the more you go, the more you look at the menu, the more you're going to see stuff on the menu you want to eat.
And you can only have one dessert, Mike.
I have as many as I want. I'm an adult. If I want ice cream for breakfast, I'm having ice cream for breakfast. But yeah, I mean, you have to be intentional. You have to have some discipline, and you have to be at peace. That no matter what your budget is, 1 million, 5 million, 10 million, 50 million, doesn't matter what your budget is, you're never going to get everything you want. It's not possible. It's not going to happen. So you pick the things that are most important in your family. It's not the stuff you put in the house that makes it a home. It's your family, the memories, and the enjoyment you have in the house. That's what makes it a home. It's not the stuff. The stuff just makes it a little easier to live in a space and funner, but don't get fixated on stuff.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mike, for sitting down with me and helping go over what change orders are and how our owners can help mitigate those decisions so that they stay within the global budget.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much for watching Uniqueness Built In. Have you seen something interesting on our show that you would like us to elaborate on? Or perhaps you've seen something out in the wild that you want us to talk about on our show? Feel free to email us at the email on the screen, info@garabedianproperties.com.